Good morning. How y'all feeling out there? I'm Omi Bell. I'm here with my co-host Takia Ross.
Good
How you feeling?
morning.
This is day 20.
Huh?
Can you believe that?
No, I can't actually.
Day 20.
But as I jumped on my computer and it needed to upgrade this morning,
You see what I'm saying? That
it seemed about right.
modern day challenges, right? Is that we need to and I just realized Instagram is not on here. So I gotta add Instagram, but it's fine. Instagram make you go through extra hoops. I'm just like, why we gotta
Really?
do all this? They do. You have to do an extra step.
I have it on mine and I'm scared to
You got
click.
it connected
Yeah,
today.
it's been connected, but it's like stream this to your audience and I'm scared to connect it. Like I'm scared to
Oh
what
Lord.
is it gonna because I'm just
I thought you were saying you had it connected.
okay, you ain't had to do me like that. Okay, that's the thing. It's like baby steps. I'm just trying to get a little, you know what I mean? I'm trying to get a participation award. That's what I want you to know. I'm trying to get
Okay, fair. You know what I mean? That's fair. That's fair. You got it. You got it, girl.
Okay.
Speaking of awards, how was the graduation? I know that James graduated from middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I know. It was so good. It was good. It was just so sweet to see the babies, and to see them like maturing and coming into their own like personalities. And, when you've been with he's been there since, of course, the 6th grade, but it's just like when you see him like, oh, I remember you, baby. And then it's just and then it's like, well, what? You didn't grew up, didn't you?
No, 100%. I think that is one of the joys. To be honest with you, Skylar's 5th grade combination was one of the best combinations I ever been to.
I remember you were telling me.
I was like, they got it together. It was like because they had all, like, not all the kids, but large number of the kids actually spoke. And they was telling their little memories from, like, I remember when I was in the 3rd grade, because they graduated from 5th grade. So they've been there this whole time. So they're like, I remember when I was in the 2nd grade and this, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just up there like crying, child, at the dang up. You know what I'm saying?
Couldn't even take it. Couldn't even get yourself together. That's the thing. We just can't get ourselves together. And these babies really are. Like their valedictorian speech, baby, she went up there and that baby said, what did she say? She was like, get out ICE. Like she had like political views, and I said, whoop.
And this is a generation. You know what I mean? Like, no shade to the millennials and all that. But I'm saying this next generation is a lot more radical than I think we are.
Baby, she got up there in the middle of her.
And I love that for them because we raised them. See what I'm saying? We raised them to be this way. We raised them to have this level of freedom to be like, we can express our political views at a middle school graduation. You know what I mean? Like, you have the freedom to do that, young leader. And we love that for you. I'm so here for it. Today, our first guest is Irena Sargent. She is a relief strategist, keynote speaker, and founder of Hooky Wellness, helping leaders and teams prevent burnout and build sustainable performance. Today, she wants to talk to us about burnout relief programming. I do have a note, though, before I go. I am going to have to get off we got to get off by like 7:25 today. Usually we might run a little over. You know what I'm saying? It's Friday. We might get to acting up. We might run a little bit over 7:30. But today I have a meeting I have to go to at 7:30. I have a meeting right after that. I have to go at 8. I mean, I'm talking PST. So we will probably end around 7:20, 7:25. And our 7 o'clock hour person actually canceled. So the person that was going to be the guest at the 7 o'clock hour, they canceled. So, it's fine.
No problem. What you said was the kid, don't act right. That's what you said. Don't cut up.
Don't get to acting like we got to go. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do this thing. We're going to give it to the folks. We're going to give it to the people. We're going to interview some folks. We're going to talk about some things. and
Yes.
then we have to go.
Okay, got it.
All right, got it. And that is me reflecting to myself. Yeah, because
Got it.
we get into a conversation about a thing and we get to chopping it up. Who knows where we'll go?
Listen, I'm being good. I'm ready. I
Okay.
put it on. It's on a sticky on the computer.
Got
Gotta
it.
go.
There we go.
Got
So I'm gonna bring up Arena so she can talk to us about relief from burnout, which y'all know I'm all the way into as a breathwork practitioner and sound healer. So yeah, let's talk about it. Hello, good morning.
it.
Hello. Good morning.
How are you?
I am well. I'm happy it's Friday. I don't know about y'all, but it's been some weeks lately.
Yeah, yeah. I could use a nap. You know what I mean? I woke up this morning ready for a nap.
I actually have a friend who wakes up with a goal of having a early nap, she says. Within like 75 minutes of waking up, she'll lay right back down.
I
So
like
I'm
it.
up for it.
I mean, I was talking to oh my God, Takia. You should have
Mm.
been here yesterday, but we got to celebrate James. But yesterday I talked to Kalia Guillory, who is a BGV alumni. She has her company is the Nap Bar, and she's doing she's doing Napchella, which is going to be this Sunday in Houston, Texas. At KOG Speaks on Instagram if you're looking for her, and go check out Napchella. So she's doing that this Sunday. I had a beauty founder on too, who was talking about she has a skin like you. I'll talk to you about it in the break. I'll talk to you about it because I just realized when we was talking about naps, I'm like, dang, I'm going to tell you about yesterday and how see what I'm saying? That's why we be needing naps.
That's why we be needing.
But ultimately, do what your body naturally feels like doing. I think that's the thing that we have been taught to go against.
Mm-hmm.
Moral of what I was trying to get to. Do what your body naturally feels like doing. So if you wake up and you're sleepy an hour later, your body is sleepy an hour later. I think we taught ourselves that like, oh no, push through it. You're not supposed to be sleepy now because we've gotten conditioned to industry. Right? Like, oh, you got to wake up at this time, then you got to get your kids ready, you got to get to school, you got to get on this good conveyor belt of life. So I'm saying, yeah, get on here, you got to put these pieces together, you got to just end up in whatever creation you end up by the end of the day. So you're with what you're working on is burnout relief.
Yes.
What led you to this?
I can tell you it wasn't my plan. It had to be nothing but God. Basically, I am a career brand innovation marketer. So I started my career in corporate, like the corporate girlies, moving up the ladder, thinking that was exactly what I wanted to do. And then in 2017 and 18, like many entrepreneurs, I hit my own point of transformation. But I hit a point where working harder was no longer working. And I'm originally from Detroit, and that made no sense. Like that math wasn't mathing. And that is how I started to go down the path of understanding what burnout was and recognizing like it was a big universal problem, though it started with me. And so it was really in my own healing journey back in 2017, 18 that I started to go down the path. And as I started having conversations with people and telling them what I was experiencing all around me, it was like, say more. And so as I started to talk about it, it started to bring greater awareness to the space. And then I actually was moving into entrepreneurship full time at the end of 19. And the original business plan was physical space. So I was opening a mental wellness spa and lounge. And then we all know the world started shifting. And so I transitioned into workshop speaking and programmatic support. I do a lot for like corporate organizations, Fortune 500s. So I've worked with teams at Microsoft, Netflix, Google, Estee Lauder, as well as nonprofits. So Teach for America, Indiana University. Basically, one of the biggest things you just started to speak about it is we think about burnout, one, that is individual, two, that it is all the same for everybody. But as I started to really get into it and with my own multiple bouts of burnout, since I'm neurospicy, it just follows me. I started to recognize like it's the same, but it's different. Like it's the fundamental definition of burnout is the same. So everyone by definition, it's a state of mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion brought on by chronic stress. But how high your risk is and how you get out of it is very much personalized to the situation you're in, the environment you're in, how much flexibility and personal agency you have. So just going back to what you were saying about naps, like we are conditioned to believe that the way forward or the way to relief is only one way. but it's very situational and personal. So as a relief strategist, I help always on high achieving professionals recognize like their early warning signs and the foundation and fundamentals of burnout, but also help them navigate how do I actually figure out how to bring relief into my life today. Because yes, it would be amazing if everybody could take career breaks and sabbaticals, which I encourage and help people do that in a way that can bring them less stress. But everybody can't do that. So if you don't have that liberty, if you don't have the space, if you don't have the funds, what can you do from an everyday basis in the way you work, live, and lead and show up for yourself and others that can actually give you relief instead of waiting until there's no other choice but to quit your job or to start over or to burn it down? Burnout is a very real thing. Like, it is universal. I have seen Instagram change from the time I started talking about it to now, from like burning and spinning tires to now we're talking about mental health. Now we're talking about sustainable ways of working. So I get excited about the growth in conversation, but there's so much work that we need to do, so much greater permission that we have to enable and allow ourselves to have. And I have to say, I'm very proud of Black women because we are standing up and taking that charge. So things like the Nat Bar, like I've been watching her journey over years, those type of things that make relief possible, make it accessible, are the things that can help us, because all of us have some big grandiose ideas and ambitions, and we need the energy, we need the space, we need the clarity to actually get those things accomplished. So a long way of winded of burnout relief and burnout relief strategy in my work.
Well, I love it because, first of all, I love when you said you were neurospicy. You know what I'm saying? That got me excited. I said, "Oh, I'm neurospicy too." You know what I mean? Let's be neurospicy.
Yeah.
But I wanted to, Irena, I really wanted to bring this up because the level of burnout I had as a corporate employee is different from the one that I have as an entrepreneur. It's different from the one when I was young with children, and now that I'm older, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like you would think that, you know, when I was young, I had 3 and I was out here juggling, and now I'm older with 1 and I'm fighting for my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not winning. Okay.
Yep.
And then that, in my generation, that no quit, all go, you know, a mindset that we have been taught, you know, brought up with, and that has been, highlighted, right, as the way to do it. You know, as we think about burnout, you know, with, especially in speaking with Black women, how is burnout different from one, you know, because you said multiple times burning out, but it's different from, you know, like, I'm burnt out as a mom, but I'm not burnt out as an employer. You know what I mean? I'm burnt out as an entrepreneur. I'm not burnt out in corporate. Like, what?
Yeah. How does that work? And when I say multiple times, it took me years, even while working in this, to just say it with my chest, because burnout is a condition of the situations that we are in. And it can vary slightly, but like, I've experienced it similar to you when I was younger, because I was always doing the most. Like, when I could have a job, I had 3. I was one of those. So I've experienced it in the younger without the responsibilities. I've experienced it in an early stage startup that was textbook toxic. I've experienced it in a corporate environment that was somewhat supportive, but it was all my internal stuff and a lot of lifing at that point in time that was added accelerated pressures and stress. And then I've also experienced it as an entrepreneur that has realized that they are neurospicy later in life and a parent. So seeing it in a different ways, once again, foundational and fundamentally is the same. And like, most of the research in the burnout space is about the workplace, but you've alluded to burnout can show up anywhere in your life where you're given a lot. So there's parental burnout, there's relationship burnout, there's caregiver burnout. So there are a number of different spaces, but foundationally, there's a lot of similarities. Like, the drivers that we know of burnout, like the proven drivers, especially in the workplace, workload, of course, values or misalignment of value, reward or lack thereof, control, community. So those are the things that can create it. So in a corporate environment, reward can look very tangible. You'd be like, am I getting my money? Are they paying me my worth? It could also be like, am I getting visibility and recognition? And so we think about that stuff in a corporate environment, but those same things hold in an entrepreneurship world. Like, but your reward or expectation of reward might be different, but you still have it. And as an entrepreneur, especially in the earlier stages, we will completely overlook the reward part because we expect to sacrifice. But if you are not getting any level of reward for what work you're putting in, that can increase your burnout risk. So in an entrepreneurship standpoint, you might not be looking for a raise in the literal sense, but you're like, I need some recognition for this work that I'm putting in. Does that mean different types of relationships? Does it mean actually paying yourself? Does it mean getting the benefit of some other resource or support? So in the different environments, the foundationals and the drivers are the same, but what you can do and what it shows up like can be a little different. In corporate community, that looks like your team. Do you like them? So on and so forth. An entrepreneur, if you're solo, fundamentally it's the same, but where do you get the relationships? Does that mean you need to join an organization? Because even if your environments are different, you just got to move differently within them. And then on the other side of it, like, what do I do about it? And how is that different? If you have sizable funds or a safety net, that allows you to move differently. Maybe you can book that trip plane to Bali. But if that's not your testimony, if Bali's not in your budget, what can you do from an everyday basis? Does that mean taking what I like to call hooky days, which is truly just mental health day, and putting it into your calendar on a regular cadence, like monthly? So if you can't afford to take off for 3 to 6 months, okay, what can I do to elongate my weekends? What can I do to elongate my breaks and my holidays? What can I do to just take time off with the only objective to breathe? So that's the like nuances that very rarely get discussed. It's like when we talk about burnout, once again, I'm so happy there's so much conversation around it, but so often the advice is all you got to do is. You're like, yeah, but that the way my banking is set up, my checking and my savings, like I can't just run away. Like the bills aren't going away with it. And so understanding the nuances in the different spaces and how that can affect how you can move proactively, preventatively, or from a matter of rest and recovery can just alleviate some of that stress and pressure that like gets added on to the already hard situation of burnout. So hopefully that gives you some color and context and answers your question.
Yeah, no, I love that. What up, though, Valerie? And
What up, though?
right, Gante, welcome as well, and to everybody watching on Instagram. We got some people just chiming in on what you're saying. I love, well, one, I love this because I also have my own story in this. I was building BGV, going to Kia's point, running hard, like let's go, team no sleep, let's make it happen, and then hit a wall like 2022. Took a sabbatical in 2024. And I also say from a sabbatical, I tell this story, me and this person have rectified this now, but like, I remember, so I took a sabbatical to 3 months, which is short in the realm of sabbaticals. Don't let nobody shame you about taking a break. You know what I mean? Because I remember, after I took the sabbatical, a lot of people were asking me about it. How did you do it? What did you do? Yada, yada, yada. And I was, this person that's now like a client of mine, and a friend, I would say a friend, and just general conversation, like, oh yeah, what's been going on with you? I'm like, oh yeah, I just came back for sabbatical. Like, oh yeah, well, how long did you take? I'm like, I took 3 months. Oh, that's a baby sabbatical. And then I went like, but bruh, why people will shame you for taking it like, why was that important? You know what I'm saying? Like, why was that important? Like, yes, in the realm of sabbaticals, people usually have 12 months when it comes to academia. But I am a nonprofit leader, founder who built this from the ground. That's really not even normal for you to even get to be able to take a sabbatical. But saying that to say, like, people will shame you for your break. People, you may already feel some shame around taking a break. Like, I'm taking them, even when I started the sabbatical, okay, people also think, to your point of burnout in different ways, people also think like, oh yeah, you got a vacation, girl, go ahead. And that you're just gonna go on that vacation. You're gonna stop what you've been doing for the last 8 years, 10 years, and just all of a sudden go somewhere and then magically come back and then get there and be like, oh, now all of my problems are solved. My nervous system is regulated. No, you're not. Yep. That's also not real. That like what you do on those breaks is just as important as taking the break itself. Because when my first month of sabbatical, I was a mess. I left the country, but I'm in a hotel room in Morocco just crying. Yeah, like I don't even know what I'm crying about.
You're purging.
At that point, I'm just crying tears that I probably haven't cried in the last 8 years or at that point, or sleep that I hadn't slept. I feel like I was making up for sleep from years ago. And so I think that like also know that like this is a process. So I love when you're like, look, like go, you might need to do this and you might need to do that. You might have a portfolio of ways that you engage and invest in yourself. And sometimes people take a vacation and you got to take a vacation from the vacation.
Yes.
Because you done planned it so far out because you're a little type A. You know what I'm saying? We get that. But, you know, you have to really think about like what it means to take a break and what it means to have rest. We had someone on the other day and they were talking about the 7 forms of rest.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm like, I think like that is so important. What I think is interesting about what you're doing and I want to hear more about is you're not using the word rest, you're using the word relief. And so tell me a little bit about the choice in this, like, well, first of all, what is the relief strategy? Is that like a thing? I just wanted to understand, you know, is that something? I love the name. Look, brand a thing. Okay. Come up with your thing and brand it however you want it. But I was just curious as to like, is that like a industry, like a certification, or is that more just like, this is something that you're concentrating on and where you're going, what you do?
Yeah, so the latter. So I'm a marketer by trade, so I will make up some language and own it in a heartbeat. But truly, like going through this journey was also a matter of like self-discovery of what is the role that I want to play in it. I don't want to be a therapist. Like I don't want that job. I help people prepare and feel more at ease in going down that path, but that's not my testimony and not my role. I don't enjoy the word coach because that's also not me. I never wanted to be a typical consultant. There's enough people for that. I really am about enabling the people doing the real work. And so as I started to think about the different ways of approaching, and truly it was just one of the things that came to me, relief strategist or burnout relief strategist is really what I do. Like I like to help, and I'm really good at helping people recognize the situation that's at hand, understanding what is at play, what are their drivers, what are their accelerators, and what can they figure out to do about it. In my work, it is really grounded in what I did professionally, like innovation. And so I use the design thinking method, which is basically a process that large organizations globally use to identify new solutions and new products. And that is how I was trained to do my work in the past and come up with multi-million-dollar products for at Nestle or in Twitter, the things that I used to do. And so I took that foundation and built it into my process. So I have the PACE process that is anchored in design thinking. And within that, it's like, well, what does that mean? It helps you step back to recognize and identify and basically understand more of the problem at hand, the situational problem. It helps you step back and assess what are the different paths forward. And then it unlocks this ability to test and iterate and to relearn, because we talk about burnout like it's one noted. We talk about burnout like it's all encompassing solutions for everybody, but you need to understand how to step back and look at the situation as it comes. Because I said, not only from my own experience, but there was a study in 2018 by Deloitte, 77% of professionals were dealing with burnout at that time before the pandemic, and 85% of them were reporting multiple bouts of it. So you need to understand how to recognize that situation whenever it pops up. You need to figure out how to move within the situation. Because once again, you might deal with it in corporate over here where you have this bag of benefits, but then years later as an entrepreneur, you don't have that. So what can you do about it? How do you understand the situation and then move accordingly? So that is really how I got to the space of owning burnout relief strategists. And if you see my journey, my name has changed, my handles have changed. But that is truly it. Like I am good, and what I like to do in my work is helping people figure out how to fish themselves, basically. How do you recognize it? Because I am here for a workshop or for programmatic support for a period of time. But I'm sorry, especially if you're in a high performing organization, or if you have all these big ideas, burnout is going to be something that is a risk. Like, I wish we were in that future state where burnout is completely eliminated and not a problem, but we got a long way to go. Like, unless somebody knows how to get rid of capitalism overnight, like burnout is always a risk of the system. And even if we want to burn the system down, like it takes energy to create change. So even if you want that, you need to understand how to mitigate and manage the risk that come with it.
Interestingly enough, in terms of what you said around like burnout is a part of the system. So is it that there's a lot of marketing and branding around preventing it, but should we continue to talk about it that way? So for example, like is this like everybody's operating a stove and you bound to get burned at some point? Let's give burn education. Or is this like we need to, because I think like everything is like prevent it. Like that's really all I hear all day long. Prevent it, as if you're not gonna, let's prevent you from experiencing it, versus a like we can have a prevention industry, but then we need a resilience industry, right? We need industry built around resilience. So listen to what you're saying. I'm wondering if some of this is being not for you, not what you're doing specifically, but I'm wondering if some of this is being marketed actually in the wrong way, or an over index on one side of the marketing and not on the other side.
I view it as a yes and. Like, I'm never going to shade somebody who's working on prevention. With my work, I sort of work on the scale because everybody is in a different place. There are some situations where you can actually prevent it, or you can prevent some of the factors that can increase the risk. I look at it as a matter of helping people prevent, manage, or mitigate, like wherever you are in the cycle, wherever you are in the conditions, being able and equipped and empowered to deal with what is in front of you. Like in some organization, like this is a systemic issue. Like burnout impacts on like 3 different levels is how I look at it. One is culturally and systemic. Then there's a matter of the collective and the team, whether it be the individual working team or the organization itself. And then there's individual. Typically, we only talk about it at one level at a time. Like we don't live in a yes and world, but all of those things are like gears that work together. And with it, they can either speed up the cycle and increase the risk of burnout, or it can slow it down. So in an organization that actually has benefits and actually encourages their employees to use it and don't demonize it and empower their leaders to lead their teams in the way that seem fit, their burnout risks are lower. But if you're in an organization that's like, fend for yourself, I'm sorry, and oh yes, that stretch project, I need it by tomorrow, that's going to be high risk, especially if that's their constant cycle. There's one way to manage it where it's like, this is a cycle and this is a period of time, versus some orgs, that's just how they work. And that's just how they function. And if you are in that environment, it's always going to be a matter of how do I mitigate the burnout risk that is in my life, versus some orgs actually recognize it and slow down and build in the cycle. So that's why I talk about pace, and like my work is the pace process, because sometimes you need to sprint, whether it be your own doing or ambitions or the org itself, but sometimes you need to chill and take a water break. And actually just going back to what you were saying with your sabbatical, I've watched your journey and I applaud you. Like getting entrepreneurs to slow down and take a break is like the hardest thing to do. Like we are the worst, but it's because of what we've been taught to do. We got goals and dreams and we know we need to show up in order to reach it. But part of it is like pacing yourself, building in the breaks, and that was never discussed. So thank you for being an illustration. And your experience is very real. Like there was a study, 52% of people don't unplug on vacation. Like they do not. Like we don't know how to stop and how to rest. And like I am my own worst victim. When I was going through my biggest bout, like we've moved, we've done a lot. I've like, let me have all of life accelerators at the same time and see how this works. Let's test the system a little bit. So we had moved to the Bay. I was going through an internal transformation. My values were shifting. I didn't want to do this anymore. I wanted to do this. My dad was dealing with cancer. I'm flying around the country. I also was thinking about entrepreneurship. So all the things. And I took leave. I took 5 weeks of leave, and I'm going to pat myself on the back because I wasn't going to do nothing. So there's no shame in a shorter break. You do what you need to do and what you can do. And so I took leave. And that first week, I was talking to my therapist. She's asking how it's going. I told her the truth. I put down my daytime laptop and picked up my hookie. And Black woman, she was like, yeah, we're not doing that. She's like, you are taking this time off to repair and reprieve. And if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? And so I got put on time out during my leave. And that is like really the core of my work and how my company is called Hookie Wellness. Like we need to embrace the art of choosing us. We need to recognize the imperative of doing that. And we have to teach ourselves how to rest. Like resilience is a skill that isn't trained. So like people don't know. We know how to work. We got taught how to work hard, and then we're told to play hard. But I approach it as work hard, self-care harder, because that is the balance. That's the reciprocity we need, especially once again, if you got grandiose visions and some stuff to do. Like you need to understand how to pace yourself and build in the breaks and not have shame And if somebody comes to you and is like, oh, that's all you take, and be like, yeah, when's your break? Like, what are you doing? Since you all in my business, but I'll get off the soapbox, but hopefully that is insightful.
Yeah, I think it really was. I think as we navigate this space, I'll speak candidly. A lot of times you don't even know that it's time. You don't even know you're breaking
Mm-hmm.
until you're already broke, right?
Yep.
And so I know that that has. So I'm really interested in what types of education or resources are available to entrepreneurs or any individual who is they don't even recognize the break is happening, or you know what I mean, like that is like that burnout is almost like, you know how you don't recognize immediately that you burnt yourself. Like it's almost, you know what I mean? Like it's just kind
Yep.
of like, oh my goodness, like how did I get this right here when I was, when I do that? And I
Yep.
think that a lot of us are going through that as well, right? That you don't even realize that you're burning, that you're breaking. Like, how do we, as humans, because this is a human situation, no matter where you are, what are some of the, like, these are 3 things that you need to look out for. If you are dealing with a bop, bop, and a bop, you might want to take a minute. Like, you might want to think about it.
A bop bop and a bit of bop.
Yeah.
Yes. So 100%. One, I have to plug, I do have a burnout quiz on my site. I am actually updating it so it has the nuances of your situational factors and helping you think about it. But today you can understand where you are in the cycle. So that is on my website, irenasargent.com. What I will say are 3 major things. One of the early warning signs that easily gets overlooked, but is a slippery slope, is working harder but producing less. So often people overlook it because there's stuff needs to get done, but they're forgetting that they're spending 3 hours on something that used to take 30 minutes, or they're not having the mental clarity to just get it done. And so that has like a snowballing effect, because if you are working harder but producing less, then your whole schedule's messed up. You're getting backed up. Then you're getting stressed out about the backup. Then you're staying up late and impacting your sleep. So that is one of the early warning signs of working harder but producing less, or working longer but producing less. Another one is just deep bone exhaustion. And I say that, but then I chuckle a little bit because it's 2026. So I would say, when should someone recognize they should do something? If you are alive today and you have been working, you are at high risk of burnout. Like, the situations that we are in are intentionally burning us out as a culture. And then I would say number 3 is, if you are pulling away from the things that used to bring you joy or typically bring you joy and are also stress relievers for you, that's another big warning sign, because those are the things you need to mitigate, manage, or prevent burnout. And we often pull away from those things exactly when we need it. So even if it's a matter of forcing yourself to do one thing a week, whether it be utilizing the tools of mental wellness, of like actually doing something physical or mindfulness or something community based. Like you were talking about the 7 ways of rest. I talk about the 4 pillars of mental wellness, because this also answers your earlier question. Rest is a part of a relief strategy. It's not the entirety of it, but growth, rest, play, and community are the different pillars of mental wellness that you can start to bring into your life. So if you feel brain fog, that's a matter of growth. So that's personal development. So that's everything from therapy to journaling to coaching to actually your nutrition and diet helps with your mental health and brain health. Rest, as I said, but that could be truly sitting down and resting and taking a nap, or it could also be mindfulness, meditation, sound baths, all of the breath work that falls into the rest pillar. Play, literally that, creativity and art, physical fitness, teamwork, that type of stuff is in play. And then community is not only the literal community, but also a connection to something greater than yourself and back to nature. So those are the things that you can start to employ and play with the pillars, play with the modalities, figure out what works for you. Truly, like, breath work is one of the foundational pieces of creating relief in your everyday in a free and accessible way. So I am sure that you can share more about resources in that space. But yeah, that's another little soapbox moment, but hopefully there's a nugget in there for everybody on how they can get started, how they can recognize what's going on in their life, because we are all in the cycle and there are intentional systems that are burning us out. And so we need to act accordingly. Like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And it's always been like that. But now we have the liberty to actually vocalize that and work collectively to do something different.
So when you say intentional systems to burn us out, it sounds like noting an attack versus like a natural function of what's happening. Tell me more about that language, because one, I'll say I think based off the conversation we've had so far, I could tell that you're very intentional about language. So when you say designed to burn us out, I really want to get an understanding of like, what do you mean by that? Because it sounds like you're like, again, that language sounds like we're under attack. But I am of the thought, we could disagree on this, but I'm of the thought that industry evolution, have at it with whatever that means, in terms of like whether it's good or bad or right or wrong. Like I think, arguable. I think this is more like what I wonder is this more like a thing that we should that has not been brought into our space as a regular part of life, meaning like even from a kid perspective, right? Like, I'll give my kid mental health days. Now in the state of California, missing school and truancy is a whole nother thing from being in Virginia. But in terms of like reaching burnout, and we often talk about it as an adult thing, but I do think that overwhelm, reaching places of needing to tap out, like these things have been built in from the jump. But somehow along the way, there was just this shift in how we talk about it. It's almost like when they stopped giving you naps at school or stopped giving you recess. At some point, it was like they need a nap. We need to keep giving them naps. Then it was like they need recess. We need to keep giving them recess. And then all of a sudden, the older they get, somebody decided that they no longer need a nap and they no longer need recess. But the reality is the body is still needing a nap and the body is still needing recess. Mm-hmm. And not just like the rigor of physical education class, but like, literally just time where you're just on a playground playing. So I think like our systems have always needed it based off of just living life. Even outside of having a job, I think we've always needed it outside of just living life. So the language of like things being designed to burn you out, I'm like, I get that. And again, yes, and I don't necessarily fully disagree with it. But I also think that like there's always been biologically this function of I need to play and rest, I need to play and rest. And we were always reaching points of that overwhelm, right? And you see the kid who falls out and cries in metaphor, the baby who cries when they get too sleepy, whatever. Like, I think that's a function of our body and the way we are engaging with external stimuli. But I think industry-wise, it changes over the course of life. So anyway, I just wanted to hear about, for me, I feel like we naturally experience that anyway. And that's not to say that other factors don't exist, but I'm curious about the language that you're using, and like things are built to do something to you. I'm real cautious about language around attack because people settle into that psychologically in a way that makes them feel like they need to defend versus needing to naturally evolve into managing themselves and the world around them. So I just want to dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, I love your perspective. So thank you for laying that on there. And it's funny that you said I'm intentional words. I am, but that one was really like a heart statement. So I have it in smaller conversations, but very rarely on a real stage. So thank you, ladies, for bringing this out of me. So I agree with everything that you stated. I view it over the past few years, there has been so much research work done that is just like common sense. We know that a 4-day work week is effective from a matter of productivity in the workplace, but also pours into the emotions and the mental well-being of employees. We know that benefits can help employees breathe, think more clearly, more creatively, more innovatively, can help them with connection. We know that financially rewarding your employees increases connection, increases a sense of reward, increases a level of loyalty. I say that word loosely because I don't love that when it comes to a job, but we know the benefits of those things. But yet, when we look, especially at the past 2.5 years or 3 years, as quick as those things started to increase, we have seen them start to get shut right back down. we have seen the force of return to office and the impact that that has. We have seen the forcing of people out of the workplaces. And so when I talk about the intentionality, they're not always consciously intentional things to accelerate the symptoms or the burnout risk, but there are so many things that I am seeing being done that it's like, how did you think about that and the result of it? So it's those type of things that I'm like, no, there's some level of intentionality, whether it is conscious or unconscious, but we know the result of these things. So why do we keep doing them? And why are we doing them at a scale and at a point in time where all of the other life accelerating factors are on high blast? So those are the types of things I'm like, if we step back and look at it from a common sense standpoint, you know what's about to happen. Like everyone is in a later stage of burnout. Like people have not had space to recover. And when you really think about our peer set, like millennials and X, like there's been no reprieve for like 15 years. And so we can't be surprised when it comes to burnout. And I think that's the core of my frustration in the space is I appreciate all the conversation around it, but I'm so annoyed and frustrated that we are always talking about burnout like it's a surprise. Like, why are we surprised that, oh, teachers are burned out? Oh, doctors are the most burned out profession. Oh, people in high performing organizations. Oh, entrepreneurs, businesses are closing because of their mental health and they can't support it. Like, why are we surprised? So let's just take that surprise out of it and recognize the system as it is, the conditions as it is, and then plan and train accordingly. So you spoke to it. I'm very much in the matter of just baseline education and training because this is not new. This is not a surprise. This is a condition of the situations in which we work, live, and lead. So I've done some programs with like B school students, and I had a 3-year program at my alma mater at Indiana University and was able to teach them burnout relief and burnout recognition before they re-entered the workplace. So now they have a language that not only they can create their own systems of relief proactively, but they can pass that along to their teams that they're going to lead. Because once again, it's not a surprise. This is just the way things work. So let's train ourselves. Like resilience is a skill. Resilience requires training, but we keep acting like, oh, just go sign up for Headspace, which I do love a Headspace, but like that will only take you so far. And by the time people do it, it's typically once they have no other choice but to do so, which I love some meditation and some mindfulness. But if you are waiting deep 6 months into your burnout situation, like that's only going to put a band-aid on it. Like now you're deeper. Now there's so much more work that needs to be done. But if you did it earlier, you could have alleviated the acceleration of your symptoms. You could have put those relief structures in and actually had that mental and emotional safety net to help you manage regardless of the stress and the conditions. Like there will be toxic orgs. There will be elevated stress. There will be seasons where you can't turn off. Okay, when that happens, what are you going to do about it? Like, are you just going to wait and fall over the finish line? Or are you going to actually have a support squad? So I'm not a runner, but the running metaphor always comes to mind. Like, if you know that you're about to do a marathon, like, are you about to go out here without running shoes, without your gel, without like a pace plan? Or are you going to prepare for those things so you can actually make it to the finish line versus collapse before you get there? That is the same way that I believe as a culture, we need to think about a preparedness for burnout and creating your own relief systems for every day.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think so with that, I think there is but again, I think I'm always treading this line of like, because I'm an employer, right? Yep. And I think that like employers don't get a voice. So in these conversations is the employer, and I'm not saying you're saying that, but I'm just saying that like, this is what is heard. The employer doesn't get a voice. And so, okay, so we don't get to, when all the employees rage and rant and rave all over the internet, there's no employers can say anything. Like you can't say anything as an employer about any of that. So you rarely hear any company push back on what employers, you'll see all the news and all the stats and employers posting their pay and employers like, and employers, you cannot say nothing. Right. And so for all my small businesses out there, just know that like, this is a place where you often don't have a voice and you will be blamed for lots of things. Right. I think that, however, so to what you're saying, and again, yes, and there are roles and jobs where people have lots of money, time, perks. I won't call any companies. I'll just say that like there are some companies that exist that do care about these things and have provided these things, and these things do not prevent burnout. So I think that when I'm saying like, what I love about what you're talking about is relief, management, recognition, recognizing that it's going to happen. So on the, pulling through that thread of that marathon piece is that in the middle of that, one of those miles you get to, your body goes, what the are we doing? You know what I'm saying? And you have to mentally decide to push through that moment. And every runner knows that. I'm not a runner. I don't run as much as I used to. But I mean, like, runners know that moment. And I think that, like, there is in your training, there's like, when you hit that moment, what do? Right. And it's like figuring out what you do. So I think recognition and relief. And again, the industry moving more toward, let's talk about burnout management versus burnout prevention. And I honestly think that there's so many places that blame can be that it's hard to find a way to like a one source of it. But I think so I love where you're talking about the layers. But I will say, oftentimes it's like the employer did it to me. My job did it to me. My job did it to me. Time out. Your job ain't do all that to y'all. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying your job wasn't, and this is me from an employer standpoint. I'm not saying your job wasn't stressful. I'm not saying that there wasn't toxic environment. It's toxic environments in your family too. I'm not saying that the job wasn't a participant. But what I find is the burnout conversation is centered around my job is doing it to me. And this is where I'm careful about the language we use around this, because I want to push people into a broader realm of thinking that like burnout is happening for you across many different spectrums. And in the recognition of it, in the recognition that your nervous system is dysregulated, there are steps you need to be taking across the board. So the work that Irena is doing with Hooky Wellness, I feel like is so important from an enterprise standpoint, but from a personal development standpoint. So if you're people out there who operate communities, I think these are people, you thinking about Irena's services. If people that are out there that operate nonprofits or, again, corporates for sure. But I think there's some community leaders. There's some churches. There's some Greek organizations that should also be leaning into this kind of support that is not centered around, let's prevent it by pushing you to work out a lot. But let's also think about recognition, management, because there's a in the moment, there's a during. You know what I mean? Like, I think we don't talk about that part at all. It's almost like, they treat it like, burnout was the month, like the burn happened and it was just over. And it's like, nah, we know that, like, if we use the metaphor of burning something, there's layers that fire is still going through. You may not see it on the surface, but you still experiencing pain because it's burning through layers until it stops, right? And I think that same thing around burnout. So there's recognition, there's before, during, and after, and moving the industry conversation to talk about all of it. And so that's one of the things I love about what you're working on. So
thank you. I appreciate it. Everything you said, yes, I'm just nodding enthusiastically on all of it. Like, it is not like an industry specific thing. Like, it's not a role, it's not a function. Like, I like to say burnout doesn't discriminate, but it does have its favorites. Like high performance organizations, entrepreneurs, women, people of color. Like, everybody's dealing with a certain level of stress if you're just trying to work at a certain level. And then it's what level of microaggressions or different or additional pressures or stresses are you dealing with in life that intensifies your risk, like that type of thing. So 100%, like, I love to work with orgs. I love to do work with entrepreneurs. And like, yes, you may not have the funds to put all of these systems into place, but what can you do to create a relief centered organization? So some of the work that I've done with entrepreneurs and programming was allowing them to create their own relief strategies as a leader, helping them understand what are the things that they can put in their org, even with limited funding. So if you can't give people dollars or something like that, but do you give your team, like, if it's full-time or even if it's part-time, are you encouraging to take a day for themselves specifically to focus on relief? Just by the action of putting a conversation around it and a focus on it, where it's like every quarter, I want to make sure that at least everybody on my team takes at least one day where they're focused on their own relief. And then we talk about it. Like, those simple things can go a long way. Y'all can share resources of different resources or not facilitators, but like therapists or mental wellness guides or things like that. Help them understand what resources are available. As you get understanding the different ways your team want to be rewarded. So speaking especially to business owners, like, money is one way that we like that a lot. But then it's a matter of, can you give them different opportunities for their growth? Can you introduce them to someone else that can help them for their future? Are there other ways of rewarding? Like, is it a matter of just truly saying thank you and showing appreciation? So we look at relief and the ways to do things differently, like it is black and white, but there's so much gray and ways to make it work for you, regardless of where you are. So it is 100% not on the organization alone. This is a collective thing. As I said, like, systemic, cultural, and collective. And then on an individual level, like, benefits are great, but if you're not using them, then how is that going to help you? So how are we working at all of those levels on a daily basis, like, to make sure we're good? Like, that is truly the goal, is just make sure you're good and you can keep going along your way. And there's some things that's going to sit you down, and just recognize that and be okay to sit down if that's your season to sit down, instead of just trying to force yourself to run through it because you won't have another space for reprieve. So just thank you for having this conversation. I love all of the perspective that you're having, and it goes so beyond your typical combo and scripted discussion. So just thank you for creating the space for this, and I would love to talk. So if anybody wants to talk about burnout, hit me up on my DMs. I'm on Insta. I'm more on LinkedIn. And if you know an org or a leader that wants to create proactive relief systems for their organization and team, then I would love to talk about what Hooky Wellness can do for you.
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye. You too.
You know, let's talk about this employer thing. Well, first, anything you want to say?
I just think burnout is so real, and I don't think we necessarily have the correct verbiage for it. Right? I don't think we're using the correct
think that's right. I agree with you.
Like, and that's what I was, and that's why my face was all kind of like, wait, what? Because I'm gonna be totally honest with you. Like, sometimes you don't even know that you're burnt out.
You don't.
Like, you don't even know that you have literally set yourself on fire. And it's because you have, like, in some of our roles, I don't care what nobody says, you have to keep going. Like, I'm just being like, and it might be just for me. Like, I'm a mom. There are just some things I cannot put down, right? I cannot put down mommy. Most, like active parents, you don't put down parenting. Like, you can't rest yourself out of it. You can't breathe. You know what I mean? Like, you're actively in it all the time, every day. And so I didn't know that I was broken. Yes. Until literally I had already fallen apart. Like, everything had been, it was shot to hell. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just kind of like, I think that had I been aware of some of those, nuances, but I don't know. Like, I was kind of like, I know that it's here. I know that it's burned out. And then what about the burnout on me when you're successful? Like, because a lot of times we think about burnout because it's like, like like you've done something wrong, or, you know what I mean? Like, a lot is like, I burnt out and literally had a meltdown the moment my daughter graduated from college.
Well, okay, so let's talk about it, because I also think, did you have, when you say you burnt out when she graduated, what did that mean?
For me, it meant, and I think the analogy of running a race, it was just like, I didn't realize that I had not ran my race past her graduating. Like I had
Okay.
never set up another, like I hadn't run my, like, because it was just like at the, like for me, like it was like that was the finish line. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was, I run, like this was the race. I was running it. I had pushed my body to the ultimate, like the limits that I could. And when she graduated, you know, I was at the finish line, right? Like, woo! But nobody tells you that the next race starts. Like, it's just like you at the finish line, the next race starts right after that finish line. It was like nothing about life. You know, the life I had created, my business was still going. You know what I'm saying? I still had to teach. I still had other children. I was still a woman. I was, you know, and it was just like, sheesh. I thought that if we had made it, I thought we had made it. And then it was just like the next race starts. So I think, like, you know, I think it's just more conversation, you know, around it that I think, because it's a little bit of burnout. Dare I say it's some burnout, it's some grief, it's some depression, it's some neurodivergence, it's some like it's feelings of lack of safety. Like it's a whole bunch of things.
That's the part. So this is so one, thank you so much for sharing that. Here's what I'll say. I don't now, look, according to what you're talking about, I don't know what is considered burnout and not. You know what I mean? Because was this moment of her graduating and that kind of thing, was that because a similar moment, you know, when my oldest kid graduated and the middle kid went to college. Like it was just like, honestly, with the oldest kid, there's something about that oldest. I don't know if this is your oldest you're talking about.
It was my middle baby.
Okay, with the oldest, we grew up together. You know what I'm saying? So there was they were the oldest and were responsible a lot while I'm working more than one job and things like that. Responsible to do a lot around the house as a single mom, raising my two kids, my oldest kids. I got 3 kids, of course, but the older one. And so they were almost like my partner in, you know, and so that's a lot of stress on them, but that's what we were as being as me being a single mom raising 2 kids at that time. So when they went to college, there was a difference in what it felt like to me. Like a I don't know how to describe it. Like, I don't even know, like what you're describing, I don't know how to describe it. And I don't even know if burnout can encapsulate it.
Yeah.
Just because there's something happening there in the connection and the like evolution of what you had to do to get them there. There's something, it's almost like being at the end of a race. The race ain't over per se. Like, you know, there's more laps or other, but you're at the end of one part of it. And there's a lot of emotion that you may not know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So I agree. I don't know how we categorize it.
Precipitating event, right? Like that throws you into burnout, right? Because a lot of times, like the thing about it is, like you said, like we were burning the entire time. Like it wasn't like you weren't being burnt, like you were. But it was something about knowing that you had to get to the end. Like, you know what I mean? Like you were running this race that kind of kept the flames at bay, if that makes sense, right? So like, yes, you felt the burn. Yes, you felt the heat. You know what I mean? Yes, it hurt sometimes, but it was just like, you knew that I had to push. And mine was, you know, getting her through college, right? That was just one particular example, right? So mine was, I knew that no matter what, I had to get her through college. And I had made the promise that she was going to finish this with no debt. I knew it. Like, I knew that she wasn't going to have the same debt that I had, the same, you know what I mean? Like, I knew it. And so what happens is you are on fire because the level of commitment you have to have as every parent to say, listen, I'm going to get you through this. You know what I mean? So it's like you're carrying them, the degrees, that like you're literally, you put that thing on your back.
You asking yourself, do they want it as bad as you want it?
Listen. And so a lot of it is, so you're on fire the whole time, that like you're burning out the entire time that you're going through. But it was just like, once I got to the end of it, that's when I realized, oh my God, I'm on fire. Like, it was
this is why I'm like, is this a candle? You see what I'm saying? Like, I think that we are, to your point of, there is a misrepresentation of burnout. Just like I think there's a misrepresentation of imposter syndrome. And this becomes so commercialized for people to build. And don't get me wrong, because I'm also all about like burnout relief, and I don't even want to call it that. I want to call it just nervous system management. That's what I'm on. I'm on nervous system management. And if burnout is a word that you're facing, if imposter syndrome is a word you're facing, if you just tired as hell, my focus is nervous system regulation. But I'm saying that to say that there's something in the commercialization of it that I agree with you. There's some misrepresentation of these words, because if it's just a candle doing what a candle does, right? Which can be said in some ways about what we do as moms. The kicker to what you're saying to me is, one, recognize that there could even be a burnout point. Because I think like we're like this, we just in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're on fire. Like I said, candle wick burning, smell is vibrating. You know what I mean? But have you ever gotten to the end of that candle? Now I've gotten to the end of candles, so different things happen. I ain't gonna call no candle brands out. But one time I got to the end of a candle and the whole thing caught on fire. The whole little thing up in flames. I'm like, what the hell? Right? Then you get to the end of a candle and it just ain't no more burning to do. It just like, you try to light that thing, it's like, I'm done. It's like you try to, but you like, no, but it's a little bit of wick. It's a little bit of candle left. It's like, that wick is like, I'm done. Yeah, I can't be lit no more. So that's what I'm like, I'm into metaphors.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's the nuance of it all, right? I think there is no one way. And I think what happens is we try to define things to put it in one neat, nice box and put a bow on it. And you can't. Like, you cannot wrap up what burnout looks like, right? Especially because we are diverse humans with different lived experiences. And we manage things a lot differently, right? And so what I really was excited about is getting some verbiage around it, right? Like getting some, like, wait, that's how I was just like, how do you even know that something is awry, right? Because you will get the all you got to do is, you will get the girl, keep going, you know what I mean? You will get the you got this, you know what I mean? But in reality, you are literally on fire and you're asking somebody to put you out. Like, you're like, hey y'all, I'm struggling, you know what I mean? My mind, you know what I'm saying? My body, like I'm trying to figure it out, and you'll get, and you know how you do it. You'll get it. You got this. You can do it. You can persevere. And I'm just looking at you like, I don't want to persevere. I don't want to persevere. I don't want to get through it. You know what I mean? I don't, like, I'm telling you right now that this shit is wild. It hit the fan. Right. And I'm struggling. And so I think too is getting some knowledge around what that looks like, what that might feel like, and really having candid.
And how do you not, like, oh gosh, girl, like the persevere. This is why sometimes too we need therapists and not just our friends.
Yeah.
Because our friends and family are not equipped with the kind of language and layers that it takes to listen to someone share that they're experiencing something and then hold it without feeling like you want to make it better, say a thing, give advice from whatever you know or don't know. Sometimes we don't know. We know about that. Oh, a friend of mine, she went through this. Let me say this. We don't know. And so like the whole, like, because the persevere, push through for the person saying it to you, it's likely that they're thinking, well, what else you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you to leave the planet.
Yeah, like, girl,
you know
come on, you can do it.
Pull it together. You know what I'm saying? And then there are moments when you'll be able to pull it together. And to your point, moments where you're not. And I think one of the things that I have learned, but I'm trying to fully adapt on a regular basis, and it takes practice. And that is just doing and saying, having no reaction, but responding with, how can I be helpful? I could just sit here with you. I can just let the silence ride. I can just sit here with you while you scream, shout, vent, cry, whatever, and not have to respond to it, not have to have an answer for it, not have to make it better, not have to do any of that, because, you know, we're smart. We realize that, like, yeah, I need this moment, but like, nothing that nobody can say may be able to move me through it.
Yeah, and I think it's also goes back to safety. You know, like, really, like, I don't necessarily know that we have created spaces of true safety,
or that we know how.
Yeah, and then too, because like people, and I'm gonna share this, and you know, I'm at a certain age where it don't even matter. You know how you get to that age where you just be like, you know, like when people say, you know, sometimes I don't want to be somebody's mama. Sometimes I love being their mama. I do. But sometimes I don't like it. Sometimes it's just hard. Now, am I going to stop doing it? No. You know what I mean? Would I change it? Absolutely not. But I can acknowledge that certain things are hard. And like, you know, that I don't like it. I don't like some parts of it. And but I think too, is like sometimes we haven't created a safe enough space where you say something where it's just like, this is how I'm feeling. Feelings are not facts. That is just my feeling in this moment, right? That like creating a safe space where people don't try to talk you out, like, you know, no, you can't say that. Like, I absolutely can. Like, I can. I can say it, like, and I think it's some of that too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even when you say it in business, like, I'm about to quit. I quit. I quit. And you can't quit. I actually can. Like, in reality, that is absolutely an option on a table. I can do this, right? So I think too, it's also about creating safe spaces where people can, like you said, vent, scream, yell, you know what I mean? Cry, like, share that is how they're feeling in this moment. You know, like, this is how I feel. It's hard. I don't want to do it. I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, why did I start it? What was I thinking? You know, and go through the entire emotional journey, you know, for you to come out on the other side and be like, all right, I'm going to do it again tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just.
I mean, there's and that's why I think we have to start approaching things as, how do we manage and how do we integrate? So I was talking about 3B, body, business, and belonging. It's like, what we have tried to do is be like, put this in this over here. This is just over here. This don't affect over here. As a business owner, we know that's not real. If something's happening in your family, it's affecting your business. Something happening in your business, affecting you and your family. Like, it is just all blended, and we live in a blended world. And when we, in COVID, when the idea of office and home just merged, we also shifted things in terms of like compartmentalizing. Because now you're code switching in your house, right? Like, what? Like, you're at home code switching. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't a place where you had to code switch before, right? So now all of a sudden you got to be at home putting on your work voice, right? Like,
that's your work voice.
So the world has shifted. Now, here's what I would love for people to be. Acknowledging the shift instead of fighting against it. and knowing, how do we just go, okay, what does it mean to be here now? This space, this time, this moment. And I'm not meaning like, fight the power. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying don't push back against systems and advocate for yourself and you need to be voting and like all of that. I'm not necessarily talking about that. I am more so talking about, I think some people have gotten stuck in look how they want us to go back to the office. Okay, well, I mean, I get it. That's not what you want. But y'all, that's what we were doing. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what you want. Some people look at the blanket stats of like, see, people were more productive at home. Here's what I'm gonna say. In order for you to work, because my team is fully remote. In order for you to work remote fully, you have to have you have to be a super self-starter. And you got to have self-initiative.
Yes.
And it takes another layer. We're talking about burnout management. We're talking about nervous system recognition. We're talking about managing through, like, you have to recognize what is happening because you're not in the office. So we can't just go over and see. We got to keep our cameras on. You don't like that? Well, if you're in the office, you can't what would you do? Put a bag over your face? Like, it is hard to work from home. And people have painted this picture of like, it is hard to manage a fully remote team. And this picture of like, because the people who in corporate, can we separate corporate living from small business management and stop trying to make all of that the same in comparison, salary, in comparison, what things can be provided, in comparison of like how we can manage you? No, we're not corporate.
Yeah, and it's hard to build It is hard to build community remotely. It really is. And having been, being a remote employee, having a remote team, being a part of remote teams, teaching remotely, it's hard to build community in any aspect when you are remote. I absolutely understand. And I think it's issues that need to be addressed, right? So I absolutely understand, as a parent, how, being remote might have been helpful, you know what I mean? Or it can be helpful in the grand scheme of your life. Like, that's a childcare situation that we need to address, right? That the traditional standard did not address. I appreciate flexibility. Like, that's something that needs to be addressed, right? Flexibility and schedule and that sort of thing. But I also can relate to, and it might be just me having had this background, I also can relate to being able to get up in the morning, put my clothes on and leave out. And the level of structure and routine that gave me as a founder, not just as an employee, but as a founder. You know what I mean? Being able to get up in the morning, get myself dressed, take my work out of my house, right? And like, now I come out my room and I'm looking in my office, right? Like, so I can see, like all of the shenanigans all day long. And it doesn't allow you a space for rest and recoup and regrouping. It is all blended together. So I'm washing clothes, doing the dishes, folding up clothes, mopping the floor while doing my marketing, you know what I mean? Responding to emails, sending out invoices. Something's bound to get jacked up. I'm just letting
And on top of all that, you got to look cute, eat right, stay fit, try to impress somebody's son. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if people like this, it's a lot. Okay. And you're trying to manage it all at once. And so, listen.
You see how I closed my one eye? I closed my one eye.
So in the summers, Skylar goes to her dad's, right? I have been walking around the last couple of days being like, I'm just not even about to clean up. See what I'm saying? I was not even about to worry about this one spoon that I put in the sink because I had some food. Right? Like, I just don't even want to go nowhere. This is the first year since 2017 that I have traveled as little as I've traveled. I barely traveled this year. It's wild, kind of. Considering the level of travel I have been at, I'm talking about almost every month. Matter of fact, not almost. I've been traveling every month, at least once a month, or every other month for the last 8 years, for the most part. Somewhere around, 2017. I'm talking international. I'm talking city to city across the US. I'm talking flights and car rides and vending. Actually, I could probably take that back to 2015 because when I started the t-shirt company, we went all up and down the East Coast and vended, but I wasn't traveling every month. But I'm just saying that like the hyper levels of travel that I've been at for at least 8 years of my life is wild. And I have been looking at people going on vacations. I've been looking like people going to Canada. I'm not going to Canada this year. People going to Martha's Vineyard. I'm not sure if I'm going this year. And I'm like, dang, am I missing out? Am I not going? Why should I go? And then I'm like, actually, I don't even feel like going.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, Omi. Like, it is that thing. And it's just oftentimes we've had that feeling and we push past it. Like, we push ourselves to go. And I believe that's when we set ourselves on fire. Like, I don't think we're on fire until we push past that moment where you're literally in your mind, you're like, I don't feel like it. I don't. You know what I'm saying? Because you know innately you're like, I don't, something is off. And it don't have to be the event. It's me. I'm off. Like, I don't, and we've pushed past that so many times and we set ourselves on fire. And that's when you get that's when you like we already got the gasoline drawers on. You know what I'm saying? We entrepreneurs. We walk around with gasoline just all on us. Once we push past, it's almost like we light the match. As soon as we push past that moment where you're saying, I don't, you know what I'm saying? It might be a little too much right now. I don't feel, I don't feel like it. I don't feel my best. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like putting it on, because that's another thing. I don't feel like putting my mask on. I kind of like being here unmasked. You know what I'm saying? I kind of like this. I'm enjoying it.
Somebody, this person's coming into town, and I'm like, don't even come to my house. Like, I want to see you. I do. And I want to spend some time with you. But I don't think it's going to be at my house because I don't feel like cleaning up. You know what I'm saying?
Hello.
I'm done with it. Hello. I'm not even about to make up my bed. I'm not about to make up my bed. I'm not about to do any of that, because you also, as a parent, have to model what you want your kids to do. And so if you would have not wanted to clean up before, it might not be in you, but you clean it up because you're like, child, I need them to know that they need to be clean. There's so much of those things happening. And as a leader, you're modeling for your company. So you're taking on these pieces to be like, I got to showcase it. If if I'm going to do it, I'm asking them to do it. And you're constantly taking it on. It's just like, I've been feeling, what you said resonated with me so much around, you feeling like I don't want to do it. Like we having this conversation, feeling like I don't want to do it. Having that feel like I don't want to do this. I said to myself yesterday, I got to stop doing things I don't want to do. I have to just do what I want to do at all times. And I think the idea of like doing what you want to do, or you trying to do what you want to do, there's so much negative connotation around you doing what you want to do. And most of the time, because growing up, it was against whatever our parents wanted us to do. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Maybe it was time to leave the place and you didn't want to leave the place. Maybe it was time to eat dinner, you didn't want to eat dinner. Maybe it was time to, sing happy birthday. You still wanted to play. Like, very simple, subtle conditioning over the course of our life where we don't get to do what we want to do. And so then you become an adult and you up against finances, and it's like, I don't want to go to work, but I got to. I don't want to take on this extra role, but I got to. I don't want to work this part-time job, but I want to. And so there's a conditioning around, you can't do what you want to do. You need to go to that place, because that group, you need to be in that group. You need to stay in all these WhatsApp chats and all these business groups and all these people that are seemingly important. You need to stay in these groups with them, because who are you if you don't? Like, I was saying to myself yesterday, I really got to start listening to myself and doing what I want to do. I've reached a point in my life where I can do that. So I think another piece of this is like recognizing your privilege and using your free will. How will you use your free will today? What type of box have you put yourself in? And what type of things have you told yourself that you don't want to upset nobody else, or you don't want to look like something? Because I've been feeling a call to really go into almost like a hermit mode. I've been feeling a call to like remove myself from all these groups. I've been feeling a call to like just go and like just go somewhere else.
The way I took a break from social media in January, from January to February, like I wasn't posting, I wasn't businessing, you know what I mean? I was literally just living, like just trying to survive my life. That's what I was doing. That's what I'll say. It was the best 60 days I've had in years, because I didn't have to show up as anything but myself. Like I wasn't worried about a posting schedule or, a meeting. Like I wasn't worried about anything. I just got to walk around and just be, and a lot of us are talking about like how we serve on boards and on councils and in groups and as leaders in different ways. And we want to serve, we want the best for our communities, but at what cost? Like, how much is this truly costing you as you navigate these spaces? And it's 7:23.
Yeah, I know. So I'm on. So we got 2 minutes left. So in the 2 minutes that we have left, I want to say how incredibly thankful I am for these kind of conversations in my morning. Right. And I think so. I'm so glad to have you as my co-host, and just we are able to, I think, give the audience a perspective on life and business that you don't often hear in places where people feel like they have to be super polished around how they talk about whatever. It's like, let's talk about it for real, because we know people are dealing with it for real. Let's talk about it IRL, like in real life. Right? Like, yes, I can give you a dozen ways to run a business and get funding and all that, but it's like, there's really a lot that we're working through on a day-to-day basis as an employer, as a friend, as a mom, as a sister, it's like all those things are all in one all the time. You are them all the time. You are a sister, you are a brother, you are a dad, you are a mom, you are a wife, you're this, whether you're at work or at home. And the corporate world had designed a way for those things to be compartmentalized, I think, because you were going somewhere else. But when the somewhere else just starts to be you and here and everything all around you because you're in a business, there's a different type of thing happening. And so, acknowledging that. So I'm really grateful for the ability to have these conversations in such an authentic way and such a raw way to bring to an audience of people who are watching, who need authenticity, who are like yearning for it. I find that I'm not sentencing the audience to that or prescribing them that. I'm saying I find that people are hungry for authentic, real conversations with multiple perspectives present.
Yeah, I appreciate you too. And I think so too. We've always said that we wanted to bring our conversations to because we talk like this all the time. So we talk like this and we connect in this way. So I'm grateful that people get to share and listen to what our friendship has evolved into over the years, and how we can support each other in all of the facets of the women that we are, as we navigate and still push each other forward. Right. And I think that that's key. So the feeling
Yeah.
is
And actually, we only have a few days left.
yeah.
So technically this is our day 20, but we actually wrap the show next Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
which will be 30 days as a whole that we have held the show.
Mm-hmm.
But we've done it on weekdays only this time around, which I actually like that better. So I want to thank everybody out there for joining us every morning. And we're not done yet. Like, we'll be back on Monday, and Monday through Thursday we'll be rocking. On Thursday of next week, we have the TikTok telethon where BGV is going to be raising capital. We have a campaign that we're running. It's going to be $19 for the 19th. So we're asking you to celebrate Juneteenth this year by donating $19 to BGV. You go to blackgirlventures.org to be able to make that donation. We'll also have another TikTok telethon landing page so we can keep up with the donations as they build. But I just want to say thank you to everybody. I think this has been wonderful. We'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. Go to bit.ly/BGV links or go to Black Girl Ventures on Instagram and click the link in the bio to get to our link tree so that you can donate and participate, because we'll be in New York in July 18th. We also have the Futures We Build Summit, futureswebuildsummit.com, or if you go to the bit.ly/BGV links, you will find all that you need there. Get your ticket to the summit, and we'll see y'all there because it's gonna be a good time. I just solidified another speaker, so I'm able to make the announcement soon on who all gonna be there. So we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining us. I'm Omi Bells, my co-host Akia Ross, and we're signing off for today. All right. We'll see you later.